Welcome to our lesson today. We are going to talk about theories of learning. And when we talk about theories, we simply refer to ideas, we refer to principles. And in this case, we are referring to principles, we are referring to ideas that provide frameworks for educators, for tutors, for trainers to teach different types of students. And this involves a number of issues, including styles of learning, different academic needs, and so on. So, we will talk about a few theories, starting with behaviorism. And when it comes to theories of learning, we refer so much to psychologists. In psychology, behaviorism is the only it's only concerned with observable stimulus and response, stimulus response behavior. It is concerned with stimulus response behavior, as they can be studied in a systematic and observable manner. These stimulus response behaviors can be studied in a systematic and observable manner. That is why behaviorism becomes a theory of learning, because we look at the stimulus response. Like in learning, where learning is based on a specific system of routine. For example, children or seeing the teacher come in class, and every time the teacher comes in class, they stand up. Then they respond to a few questions before they start learning. It is something we can refer to as a drill information. The students are drilled into their memory bank. The information is drilled into the students' memory bank, as well as positive feedback from the trainers themselves, the institutions themselves. The aspect of repeating these response stimulus or stimulus response behaviors makes it possible for behaviorism to become a theory of teaching, because or learning, because at the end of the day, people will learn based on the behaviors they have. And this can be seen in the example of the COVID-19 pandemic, when the presidents of different countries, for example, in our country, the president would declare for a 90-day lockdown, so that people can repeatedly go into their houses earlier, leave their houses late, and do not walk freely until 90 days elapses. And that is the reason we also have a 90-day term or semester, because it forms a behavior. Psychology is known to state that somebody or a human being or a person who learns or learning takes place within at least 90 days. So after the 90 days, it forms a behavior. This becomes a behaviorism theory. We have cognitivism theory. Cognitivism theory states that learning relies on both external and internal information or data. And these processes that bring about this information or data are a key in cognitivism. And this theory was developed in the 1950s, that is exactly after the Second World War. And in this theory, it moves away from a little bit away from behaviorism. It focuses so much on the mind's role in learning, that as much as making somebody have a certain behavior, there is need for the mind to adopt learning. So in cognitive psychology, learning is understood as the acquisition of knowledge. Learning is acquisition of knowledge, and the learner is an information processor. The learner is an information processor who absorbs information. They undertake the same information and the cognitive operations, so that they stock that memory. And this comes about when we talk about the head of a learner as a black box, that it is very difficult to know that what goes into that head comes out exactly the way it went in. Slightly the opposite of GIGO mechanism. The mechanism of GIGO, the garbage in, garbage out. does not apply with cognitivism, because cognitivism says that the learner's mind determines a lot how they learn, the responses they give, the amount of information they can get and stock at a certain period. Then we have constructivism as a theory of learning. Constructivism as a theory of learning. Constructivism as a theory of learning, we say that the learner builds upon his or her previous experiences and understanding to construct a new understanding. So this depends so much on the prior knowledge, prior learning, the previous information. So once the learner has had some previous information, it is easier for a teacher or a trainer to build on this information. And in this case, we say that the passive view of teaching, it views the learner as an empty vessel which should be filled with knowledge. This is where we get the idea of tabula rasa, that the head of a learner, and especially young learners, little children, it is empty, tabula rasa. It's an empty slate which needs to be given information. And it explains that to fill this head with information, the learners construct meaning of what they engage in on a daily basis. So the real world problem solving situations can really help, because the first information to be put on that slate forms a basis of learning for that student. So constructivism is it's another theory of learning. Humanism is one of the other theories of learning. And in humanism, we say that it is a learner-centric approach. It is centered on learners. And this is in which the potential is really focused. The potential of the learner is the one we focus on so much than the methods, than the materials, than the resources. We focus so much on the potential of the learner. And this is what is being adopted in Kenya as CBC, competence-based learning. If you look at the method of learning that is taking place in class, the educationists are instructing the trainers to insist on a learner-based, a learner-centered approach. And with this in understanding, it is good to know that humanism focuses so much on creating an environment that is conducive to the self-actualization of learners. They can look at themselves as the ones who have come up with the ideas and come up with the learning process. The teacher here is just a facilitator, but the learners have an environment to make them learn, irrespective of the content the teacher has, irrespective of the materials the teacher has, irrespective of the method the teacher is using to teach. So in doing so, learners need to meet some free determinable goals, their own free determinable goals. They can set those goals. You can assist as a trainer, but they need to meet those goals for themselves. The last theory of learning that I wish to talk about is connectivism. Connectivism is where we say that it's informed by the digital age. The current age is a digital age. Connectivism departs from constructivism a little bit by identifying and remediating gaps in knowledge. Whereas we said that under constructivism, the learner uses their past experiences to build, to construct knowledge. Connectivism looks so much at identifying and remediating the gaps, those areas that have not been dealt with in terms of knowledge. So where there is gaps in knowledge, that is where connectivism comes in, and it's strongly influenced by technology. Connectivism focuses on learners' ability to frequently source and update accurate information that is very accurate, being updated in their heads, and just ensuring that this information is kept well and learning takes place. Thank you very much.